What's going on, everybody? My name is Josh Lindke. I'm the passing game coordinator, quarterbacks coach here at Toledo Central Catholic High School in Toledo, Ohio. And my topic today that we're going to get into is developing a high school quarterback from the ground up. I've had some experience at the college level as well as the high school level, and being at a program like Toledo Central Catholic and coaching the quarterback position. It's really been a blessing. To be at a premier program like this, and then to obviously coach a premier position here as well. It's been great. So a lot of people have helped me develop along the way. I've been in coaching now going on my 8th year, I think. So, a lot of people have helped me develop along the way, and, a lot of thanks to a lot of people, and kind of, developing my ideology and how I believe in the quarterback position should be played and things like that. And, this is just, what we do at Central Catholic. This is more geared towards, what we do with our guys, but hopefully, any guy that coaches quarterbacks can get something out of this. There's a lot of good information on it just in terms of taking that quarterback from ground zero, and developing him, whether you have a QB competition, you don't have one, trying to figure out who your guy might be. You might be transitioning a guy from one position to another. And so, hopefully you can use some of these tools to kind of, develop that QB. First and foremost, thanks to Michigan High School Football Coach Association for having me on. Thanks to Kyle for having me on as well. So Kyle's been a good friend of mine, a mentor. I've coached with him. He also coached me. So, and we've stayed in contact all these years. So just a really good thing that he's doing, and a good thing that, the Michigan High School Coaches Football Association is doing as well. So, just a little bit about our program, Toledo Central Catholic. I know, most people are familiar with who we are, but if you're not, like I said, located in Toledo, Ohio, just a very storied program, rich with tradition. Coach Greg Dempsey, the head coach there, is one of the best, if not the best, in my opinion. Not only in the state of Ohio, but just the entire country. You want to learn how to be a head coach and just to develop a championship culture within a program. He's the guy to learn from. 4 state championships, 3 of those belong to Coach Dempsey, 19 conference titles, 8 NFL players. We just had 2 more get added with Jeremiah Braswell, who signed a UDA, or unrestricted free agent, with Arizona Cardinals, and then Mike Warren signed one with the Philadelphia Eagles. So 2 more guys in the league. Hopefully they make it and have long careers. 21 state playoff appearances, 136 All-Ohio honorees, and then 1 Mr. Football. Had the likes of Deshaun Kaiser, come through, and Dane Sossenbacher, guys like that. So, guys that have gone on and played big-time college football, and then guys that, have been fortunate enough to make it to the NFL. And Coach Dempsey's certainly been a part of that and his staff over the years. So I'm just really, blessed to be, a part of this program. So just a little bit about my career. I graduated in 2012 from Anthony Wayne High School, and then played for, the guy that I, or coached for the guy that I played for at Anthony Wayne in 2013, 2014. That was my start. I was a receivers coach there, JV offensive coordinator. That's where I met Kyle as well. And really, I try to, in my career, whether you like a guy that you work for or you hate a guy that you work for, I think we've all kind of been in that situation. I think I've always tried to take the good out of every situation, flush out the bad, take the good. And player relationships is one thing I really learned from Craig. That guy's got great relationships with his players, and still to this day, I think when you talk to guys that played for him, they'll say the same thing. And then, I kind of had a wholesale shift change. I was a receivers coach in a wing T offense at Anthony Wayne High School, and decided I wanted to try my hand at college ball, and ended up, writing a letter and getting in as a student assistant, kind of a GA/quality control, all the above, at Bowling Green, when Dino Babers was there. So we won the MAC title in 2015. And that was really my introduction to spread football and learning how to coach quarterbacks and receivers in the spread offense. So in terms of my X's and O's and things like that, and just learning what spread football was, that really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And then, was able to go on and stay another year with Mike Jinks as he came in after Dino left for the Syracuse job. And really just my film study and the treatment of people. Mike was a college head coach, 3 years after he was in the high school game. So, he made a quick jump and a quick rise, but you would have never thought that he was a Division I college football coach. you know, because he, you know, he treated people phenomenally. So, and then you know, that was just a great thing that I learned. And then, you know, from Coach Chipka, just learning organizational skills. I was able to be an offensive coordinator there first time at 23 years old. So just learning, you know, the fine details of things. And then obviously, you know, Coach Dempsey speaks for himself, the work ethic and the championship culture. Coach Dempsey works like a GA every day. You know, and I've been here since 2019, and I've never seen a head coach really, you know, work harder day in and day out. You know, whether it's breaking things down on huddle, you know, finding ways to motivate our team. You know, he's always on his toes, and I think it speaks for itself. That's why we're so good at Central. You know, just today, hopefully session goals and knowledge is power. It's one thing I learned from Coach Babers, man. It's big time to have good knowledge, and it'll get you a lot of places. So obviously, you know, through this COVID-19 coronavirus stuff, we've been able to get a lot of football, you know, through these Zoom clinics and whatnot. So you know, the more knowledge you have, the more power you can eventually have. And I hopefully, you know, today you can take one thing back to your program to use, you know, and if you can, great. And like I said, we accomplished both these goals, and this session was a win for me. So I'm not saying I've got all the answers, but this is just some stuff that I've developed over the years. You know, and I take quarterback play really seriously, and it's kind of a craft that I've, you know, developed, and hopefully you guys can take something out of it back to your program, whether it doesn't matter what kind of offense you run. This is for spread guys, wing T guys, triple option guys, whatever it may be. You know, the things that we'll talk about today can be correlated into any type of offense for any type of quarterback. You know, one of my favorite quotes, and I think that this just kind of is my philosophy in terms of developing quarterbacks. And I think this really, when you're talking about developing a high school quarterback, when you're taking him from the ground and building him up, I think, you know, the QB is ready to go play when he not only knows the what, but the why he is doing. And I think that's so important. You know, let's say you have a 2-year starter. His first year, he's going to be doing a lot of the what. He knows what he's supposed to be doing, but does he really know why and the reason behind what he's doing? You know, now year 2, which this is the situation we're in year 2 with our guy now, really he can start to develop and to fine tune his why he's doing the things he's doing, why he's going through certain progressions, why we're doing things we're asking him to do, why he's reading a certain defender, things like that. He not only knows his what, but now he knows his why. So just a really good quote that I think stick with us. I show our quarterbacks this quote all the time, and I think it's important. Just a little bit of quarterback philosophy. This is in terms of, you know, physicality, tools, you know, how they play the game. You know, I think efficiency and accuracy is really important, obviously. And I think that when you're whatever kind of offense you run, I think it needs to fit within the realm of what you're doing. So if he's really efficient and really accurate for what you do, you're a wing T team and you throw it 6-7 times a game and he completes 4 or 5 of those, that's efficient and accurate within your offense. If you're a team like us where we're a multiple spread team, we don't throw it 30 times a game, but we get upwards of 15 to 20. We want our guy to complete, you know, 65-70% of his balls. You know, we also want big playability. That's one thing that I've really grown to know over the last couple of years. The days of just having a guy that can turn around and hand it off and isn't very mobile, it has kind of gone by the wayside, in my opinion. We want him to be able to create big plays with his legs and, you know, through the air as well. And then, you know, you always want that competitor. You want a guy that's going to compete. And then you also want a guy, in my opinion, that's he's got that. When people talk about, you know, quarterbacks, I talk about that it factor, and I think being different and having some swagger is good. I think when a kid plays with swagger and kind of is allowed to be himself, I think you're going to get the best out of that kid. So, excuse me, getting a sip of my coffee there. Identifying a guy, okay? So when we talk about building a QB from the ground up, you might be in a transitional year where you have to find your quarterback. And I think, you know, this starts from day one, is when you're trying to, are you going to, you know, change a guy from a receiver to a quarterback? Are you going to stick your best athlete there? Do you have a guy on the JV that was coming up? You have a guy in the freshman that could, you know, make that jump? I think the first question you need to ask yourself is, what does he do well? You know, for us, we want a run and throw threat. So if you're a wing T offense and you hand it to 3 different backs in a game, you might not need that throw threat, or you might not need a run threat. If you're a triple, you might need a run threat now out of that guy. So, you know, whatever kind of offense you're running, pro style offense, you know, you want a little bit of both. We want that run and throw threat. So that's big for us. We want a guy that can facilitate. We've got a lot of good athletes that we like to get the ball in space. So we just need a guy that can be a facilitator back there, and that's what our guy is. And then, like I said before, we want a guy that carries himself with some swagger. I think when the rest of your team can feed off of your quarterbacks, morale and mentality and swagger, I think that just does good things for you. So, when you're talking about identifying a guy, I think those are the couple of, this question first and foremost needs to come to mind is what does he do well? And then once you find that guy, you need to build around his strengths. I think, obviously we all as coaches, we have our philosophies and what we want to do, but, at the end of the day, if you've got the quarterback to do it, you need to build around what he does well. And then the last thing, man, is that we always tell her, and I'll talk about this, I'll touch on this at the end, is fearlessly be yourself. That's kind of our mantra in the quarterback room. It's my mantra. I've got it hashtag in my Twitter bio. It's all over the place because I love this quote, and I kind of carry myself that way as a coach. I think that if you try to emulate somebody else and you're not being yourself, I think that's where you can have issues. Sure, you can take certain things from certain people, and this goes for coaches, quarterbacks, whatever it may be. But if you're not yourself, man, then you're going to run into some issues. So that's one thing that we try to drill into our guys too, man, is whatever kind of quarterback you are or whatever you do well, just do what you do well, and we'll figure it out around you. So fearlessly be yourself. Handling a quarterback competition, I think this is a big thing. If, when you're trying to develop a high school QB from the ground up, if you got a couple guys within a competition, you've got to figure that out as well. My first year over here at Central this past year, we had 4 guys in the race. So I was thrown right into the fire right away and trying to figure out who was going to be our quarterback. And it was crazy because we had 4 guys that did things differently. They all did their own things well, but they were different types of quarterbacks. We had, our current starter, Bishop Vargas. He's more of a Johnny Manziel type. He can run, he can throw. And then, we had a guy, in the name of Jake Wright, who ended up being our backup, was a sophomore. His dad was the OC at Toledo. He was more of a gunslinger. He could throw it around. Then we had another guy that was kind of the senior leader. He kind of just was a game manager type, which there's nothing wrong with that. I was kind of that type of quarterback in high school. I was a game manager, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But, and he ended up playing another position for us. But, so when you've got a competition, you want to chart and grade everything as a quarterback coach, in my opinion, when you're building those QBs. That way you can have that concrete evidence to go back and tell the kids, say, hey, this is why you may have lost the competition. This is why you may have won it. Give constant feedback to the players. So, whether it's in 7-on-7 team settings, indie settings, whatever it may be, give those guys constant feedback so they're never not left to wonder, or they're never left to wonder, am I doing something right? Am I doing something wrong? Where do I stand in terms of this competition? Mix and match the reps. I think that's one of the best things that I did this past year when handling this competition. It really shows how those guys can handle adversity. So maybe one day your guy that you think is going to be the guy, he takes the reps all the ones, then maybe his second session is 7-on-7 or team, whatever it may be, you put him down with the 3s or the 2s, and you kind of just mix and match those reps. And you see how guys perform and pick people up around them. I think that's a big telltale sign. How does the offense move with a certain guy? Do you have a guy that's just kind of a check down guy in the pass game? He's not going to take any big shots. He's not going to do anything to hurt the offense. But he's not necessarily moving you guys down the field. Or are you going to have that guy that's, going to go through his progression in the pass game and hit that first pre-snap alert shot play? So you really have to tell. I think 7-on-7s are deceiving. Our competition, it drug out until, week 3 of scrimmage season, just because you don't really get a telltale sign until you actually have, a full-blown game in a sense, because you can see how the offense moves. And then, do you have a game manager type, or do you have, an explosive playmaker? And this is the side that we leaned on. We want an explosive playmaker in that position. But some people like this guy as well. They just don't want their quarterback to hurt him. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you got to be able to, as a quarterback coach, sift through that. And then once you know who you have, then you start to build your quarterback. And then, like I said, you want sifting through what you want to be as an offense. You've got to decide, Coach Dempsey before, I got hired and in years past, we really didn't have much of a pass game. We didn't throw much, not to any fault of anybody else, but the quarterback play was just not where it needed to be in terms of the throw game. It was more of a running style quarterback. So, this was the year where we really kind of made a big change in terms of throwing it more and having a guy that threw it more rather than just, doing a lot of cue run stuff. So that's what you kind of have to figure out as a staff when you're handling that competition, because that could give a leg up to one guy or another guy. So that when you're talking about from the ground up, building that quarterback, once you know who you've got, then you can start to build your cue. And then these are the things that we do that I'll talk about today, just in terms of getting our guy ready to go play. Week to week study prep is huge for us, and we do a lot of it. I think that, as a coach, you're doing a disservice if you're not, treating that quarterback like another coach, and he's not prepping in the film room just like you are as a coach. You're doing a real big disservice, and we've won a lot of games, and our quarterback's been very successful on a lot of those things because of his week-to-week study prep. We also grade and do tip sheets. I think tip sheets are really important now. I think the tip sheets where you just got a bunch of, I call it fake juice, fake hype, where you're just doing a bunch of quotes and things like that. I don't do my tip sheets like that. It's more of a philosophical breakdown, and it's X's and O's tip sheets just to give guys reminders, before they go play the game. I think that's really important, and it doesn't have to be long. It's just about 10 bullet points every Friday. Grading's important too, because I think when, if you just go flip the film on for the cue and you watch it, that's really doing a disservice to him. I think when you give him a concrete grade of how he did and where he went with the football, what his footwork was like, did he get a plus, did he get a minus, things like that is really important. We'll talk about indie drills that we do. I don't have a bunch of indie drills. I know some quarterback coaches that have a million indie drills. I don't. I like to keep it simple. I got about, we're an RPO team. We obviously have our run game indie drills, but and you can build this whatever way you are. If you're a wing T team, you're going to have your set of indie drills. If you're a triple team, you're going to have your set of indie drills. Our indie drills, we've got about 5 RPO drills that we do, and then we've got about 5 drop back drills that we do in terms of the pass game. And then, our run game, we've got our run game footwork as well that works in with our RPO deals. So, that's what we do. And when you talk about building a QB, those things are important. In-season communication is real important too. And that can go from practice. In my opinion, there's no downtime. So our quarterback doesn't play defense. I'm fortunate enough to be able to utilize defensive time to do a lot of things with him. And I think things like talking through your script, coming back on the sideline and looking at huddle sideline in game and talking through things, that's all really important in terms of in-season communication. And then building relationships, which is obviously the most important thing. And I'll hit on that at the end, but that just goes back to that fearlessly be yourself quote. And that's what I do. That's how I handle it. And that's how I want my QBs to be. I don't try to be somebody I'm not. So, when you're talking about building relationships with that quarterback, that's really important. He has to know that you're in his corner. In my opinion, as a QB coach, he's got to know that his quarterback coach is in his corner. So week to week prep, this is just a little outline of what our week looks like. And this is more of a mental breakdown, in terms of what we do. I've done this is a whole clinic in itself. Talking about week to week prep, but Monday we do a formation cut up, scouting sheet, coverage report, blitz report, and our quarterback and I go through that, and then we watch a film of the team that we're playing that Friday, get a sense of what they're doing, and then Tuesday, you kind of go through the defense that you're facing, their favorite blitzes, their favorite coverages, so likewise pass concepts, and then you have Tuesday's practice of what you go through in your script. So Wednesday, again, we're going over those favorite blitzes again that the defense likes to run fronts, and the quarterback is seeing all this on huddle film. This is about a 20 to 30 minute session after practice, about a 10-minute session before practice. And then what we really try to hone in on Wednesday, we RPO, we really try to read DN and read tendencies. I think it's a lost art, studying those guys. I think it's very easy to just give a black and white statement of, hey, if that guy crashes down on zone read, you're going to pull it and run. If he sits, you're going to hand zone read. I think it's very easy to say, hey, if you're an RPO team, if this guy plays run, you're going to throw the RPO. If he sits, you're going to hand the football off. The same thing in a triple option or a wing T. You know, if you're reading at any type of down lineman, you got to have a sense of what that guy likes to do in the run and the pass game, you know, for those read tendency guys. So that's something that we really hone in on Wednesday. And then Thursday, we talk about a lot of our shot plays that we like. We talk about ball hawks in the back end, who may be disruptive. That way our quarterback is aware. And then we talk about guys that we can pick on too. That way our quarterback is aware of that. And then Friday, you get a tip sheet, and I'll take you kind of through that, what we do Friday. Obviously, it's game day. And then Saturday, we call it, we shine a light on it, and learn that from Coach Babers that, you know, you want to be honest with you know, your play. And I think shining a light on it is huge. And I think that, you know, one of the things that I learned from him is, you know, he used to always say, it's not a grind, it's a find. So whether you're, like I said, in a quarterback competition, you're in two-a-days, whatever it may be, you're not grinding things out. You're really finding out who you are. And I think when you shine a light on things Saturday and you're honest with your kids and you grade them out, you're really shining a light on their play. So that way they know the next week what they need to do to improve. Just some extra things that we do as well. Like I said, we really try to maximize our time. So when we're on defense, you know, I'm doing so many different things with a quarterback, whether it's RPO footwork, whether it's getting a couple more pass concepts in, you know, throwing the football. There's never any downtime for him. You know, script review is really important. We go over the script every single day. That way he knows going into the team setting, every progression, every read in the run game, whatever it may be. He's familiar with it. He's seen the script. So we talk through the play, we walk through it. And then, you know, as a quarterback coach, I think it's important to ask questions because, and again, when you're talking about developing that high school quarterback, you know, they're always going to just shake their head yes and say, yeah, I understand what you're talking about. But really, you're going to understand if they know it, if you start asking them questions about a play, if you start asking them questions about where they should be going with the football, because then they can really think about it and talk you through it as well. So here's a little example of, you know, just, you know, a breakdown of a week-to-week breakdown that we do. So, you know, a scouting report type deal. So with the quarterbacks, here's what I did. And this is just develop his mental stability and understanding, you know, what he's facing in the back end and you know, whether you're talking about linebackers, DBs, whatever it may be, you know, so you talk about each DB, you know, everybody's familiar with this stuff, break it down. And then, you know, you talk about their favorite coverages here. You know, cover 3 was a big one for DCC. You know, 71% of the time, or 71 plays, 65% of the time they were in cover 3 or a cover 0 type team. They didn't blitz much. And then, you know, what their defense is, a base 4-4 cover 3. It doesn't need to be a 4, 5, 6 page breakdown. This is just one sheet for our guys so they can kind of get a sense of who they're going to be facing and what they're going to be facing instead of just, you know, telling them, you know, hey, we're playing this team this week and this is what they do. Now you're really getting it in writing. So they're getting it in writing, they're getting it on a film, and then they're getting a visual, obviously, when the scout team they go against all week. Coverage report. We also break down a coverage report as well. That way he knows in the pass game what he's going to be working with. So this was against Toledo Whitmer this week. You know, 35 plays, 21% of the time they were in cover 0 in a 4-man look. You know, they also had some 3-man looks as well. But you know, you're just breaking things down and walking it through. And really, when you're talking to your quarterback, you know, when you're developing that mental aspect for him. You're just talking about the top 2 coverages here. That way he can understand, you know, the top, I mean, as a high school, you're not going to get, in my opinion, you're not going to get a team that runs 600 different coverages. You might, but they're not going to be very good at it. But really, when you kind of do your coverage breakdown and input your data in the huddle, you really understand what a team's trying to do. And then your quarterback understands what the team's trying to do. Formation identification is a good one too. I think, you know, when you're talking about really in this formation identification, really when you're talking about, you know, coverage cues as well. So I think, you know, checking safeties is important. Obviously, if it's 1 or 2 high, eyes can tell you a lot. Motion can tell you a lot in the back end, technique, cadence and tempo. So these are all things that we go through with our quarterback, you know, when we're talking about reading coverages. And then this is just developing his mental side of the game. We'll talk about developing his physical side of the game here in a little bit, but this is developing his mental side of the game in a week-to-week setting. That way he has a good understanding of what he's facing on Friday. Read guys study tips. So we read a lot of different people, whether it's in the run game, whether it's in the pass game, RPO game. So players of conflict. Does he want to play run pass? This is something that you can study with your quarterback. Whether you're talking about a zone read or whether you're talking about an RPO. This is stuff that you can study so that way he understands. Who's the conflict player? Where is he comfortable? That's another one that we talk about with our quarterback. And trying to understand, does this read guy want to play run or does he want to play pass? And then where are his eyes? Those are the three things that we tell our Q to kind of look at. And again, just developing his mental aspect of the game. Run game reads, whether, if you're a triple team, you can do this. If you're a pro style team, if you read guys, this works for anybody. This doesn't just go for a spread offense type team. What's his get off like as a D end? And is he a wrong arm guy or is he an upfield guy? These are all things you can kind of take your quarterback through. Friday, obviously we talk about our tip sheets and reminders. We always have a 4:15 QB meeting on Friday, and I call this the go get money day. I like this quote. We put in so much prep during the week so that we can compete on autopilot on game day, and that's really what you want as a quarterback coach. You want nothing to surprise your guy on Friday. So all this prep that we do in terms of developing a high school QB from the mental side, this all leads into Friday. So he's playing on autopilot on game day. Here's an example of a tip sheet that we do. Again, notice it's like 10 bullet points that I have here, and it's not hype fake juice stuff. You can throw some of that in there down here, but I think that as a high school kid, if he's not fired up to go play a game, especially playing at Toledo Central Catholic, he's probably not the guy that you want to go to war with. So this stuff is more from the aspect of what they need to do within the game. So be loud with your cadence. First game one. Rocking crowd. He's got to be loud with his cadence. 10 and 11 is a run play that we do. We're reading 4 eyes. These are the things that we're talking about in terms of a tip sheet. It's not a tip sheet full of, like I said, fake hype and fake juice. It's a tip sheet that's going to, maybe give him one advantage that he's going to remember all of a sudden while he's going through a progression in the game, and it's going to help us, make a big play. And then down here, we had a quarterback that was a first-time Q and, a guy that was talking some smack on Twitter, that's when you can kind of throw in a little picture down there to say, hey, here's your motivation to go play now. But my whole tip sheet is not full of just quotes and things like that, because I find that counterproductive. Then, when you talk about a grade sheet as well, excuse me, I misspelled grade here. But you talk about a plus minus system. So did you do your job or did you not do your job? It's really as simple as it is. And that way our quarterback knows, okay, I did my job on this play. I didn't do my job on this play, whatever his job is to do. 85% was our mark last year for championship level. I'm going to up it to 90 this year because we got a second-year guy. He should play better. Let's be dead honest. He should be better. He's a second-year guy. Now he's really understanding that why within the game. And so we should up this level to 90%. And that's where you need to be to win the game. And then stat them up. I think, some coaches like stats, some don't. I think that you can do it in a good way because the kids love it. The players love it. So stat them up, within your grade sheet, which shows them how they did. And you can do this for quarterback, running back, receivers, O-lineman, D-line, whatever it may be. Every coach should be grading out their players, in my opinion. Here's an example of a scrimmage. So we had 4 guys play in the scrimmage. So right here on this side, I just had the stats. Vargas was 17 for 19, 218 yards on a TD, and then you give the total so you can see how you played as a group. So in that scrimmage, we played really at a high level as a quarterback group. We were 24 for 28, 361 yards and 2 touchdowns in the throw game. Ran the ball really well as a QB group as well. And then here's the specific plus and minuses, what they graded out. So Vargas had 27 pluses, 6 minuses, 82%. Wrights down here with 6 pluses, 1 minus. So on and so forth. So as a group, we had 49 pluses and 11 minuses, 82%. So that's really good to show those guys. And then you've got it broken down even further in these categories here, the specific plays that they played within the game. So now you can see, where their pluses were, where their minuses were. And that really gives you a sense of how the flow of the game went. If there was any point in time when they had a bunch of minuses, did the game flip for you, because your quarterback's going to drive how you play the football game. So that's important to see. All right, so when we talk about drill work, that that whole spiel that I just went through, that was more the mental aspect of developing a high school quarterback. Now this is more the physical aspect and the drill work. So I've got a bunch of clips here. I'll try to fly through them as best as I can. So in my opinion, when you're talking about developing a high school Q, in my way that I drill, I think simple is better. I think that there's so many other things that go on within the game of football that if your quarterback is thinking about too many things, then that's bad for him. So I think the simple drills are better, and less is more, in my opinion. Lower half is big for me. I spend a lot of time on the lower half. I think if your guy has a good arm, great. I think if he's got an average arm, that's okay. You can still develop that. If he's got really good feet, then you're going to give yourself a chance. And we always talk about good feet, good throw. And then the arm talent will come. Whether you've got a guy that's got a big time arm, great. If you don't, like I said, then that's okay. You can still get by if he's got good feet. So we focus a lot on our feet. Here's how we kind of break it up: our RPO drills, and then our drop back drills in the pass game. And then obviously we have run game drills as well. And that obviously fits in with our RPO stuff because that's a run or a pass. So a lot of these RPO drills that we do here fits with our same footwork within the run game. And this is what we do, man, day-to-day basis. I don't have a million different drills. Yeah, it's easy to, get stale, I guess you could say. But, and I'll talk about this, what have you done during this COVID-19 stuff? Our quarterbacks know all this stuff. They can do it on their own by themselves in the backyard. So I don't have a million different drills for them to go through because they know the routine. So they should be doing this entire time. So, I think that, you can stimulate your guys in different ways, giving them game-like breeds and aspects and things like that within your same drill that you do. You don't have to create a new drill. Your drills need to mimic what your game's going to look like. And this is what our quarterback does within a game. So why would I just create a new drill just for him to do it for the hell of it? I'm not going to do that. I'm not just going to have him run through a bag just because I want him to run through a bag. I think the days of just, I see a lot of quarterback guys teach their guys drills that have no purpose to them. Your drills have to have a purpose to what you're doing, and they have to mesh with what you do. If you're a triple option team, you're not going to do these RPO drills that I have up here. You know what I'm saying? If you don't run any RPOs, you're going to run drills that fit within your system. Okay, so when we talk about warm-ups, I think warm-ups are a lost cause for QB. I think that guys just sometimes pick a football up and they just throw. And I think that's bad. I think you have to treat your quarterback and tell them that every throw is a big-time throw. So when you start your warm-up, man, you got to treat it like a big-time throw. And this is some of the things we do in our warm-up. We always have 3 distinct movements, whether it's in our pass game, run game, or RPO stuff. A lot of our throwing stance starts with our hips. We use our hips and our feet a lot, and that's why we focus so much on the lower half. Okay, so when we warm up, here's a little drill tape. We just go about 5 yards apart. We get about 5 to 10 throws in, and we just call this feet parallel. So their feet are about 6 inches apart from each other. Have your quarterback jump up in the air, land on the ground, and that's his feet shoulder width apart type deal. You can work this back to about 10 yards, 15 yards. That way they can get a good snap in their hips, good snap in their upper half. And now we just go, and this is working for our RPO stuff here now. Now we go easy way, we call it. So, that non-throwing foot is going to be slightly ahead of the opposite foot, or the same side throwing foot. And that way, this is just like a natural throwing stance for your guy. So he's going to flip his hips, throw the football. And then when you're talking about developing a quarterback, we start with these drills every day because this fits our system. You're going to develop your quarterback to fit your system. You're gonna, like I said, you're gonna do the things that he does well, but you also have to develop to fit what you do well as an offense. Here's the hard way where he's gonna put that same side foot, as a same side throwing shoulder ahead now, about 6 inches ahead, and this just really overemphasizes twisting the hips, throwing in that awkward position. Same deal here. All right, and now we call back away, easy way, hard way. And this drill here just simulates, taking your eyes from one spot to another in an RPO drill, and then, flipping your hips and throwing the football. Because when you're in an RPO, a lot of times, you are, looking at a defender and then you're taking your eyes to your throw target and you have to be able to flip your hips and pop, throw the football. So we do this drill a lot just to get our feet moving. you know, get our quarterback used to seeing things in this direction. So that's the easy way because he's turning over his non-throwing shoulder, you know, and then we'll go hard way where he's got to now pop, flip his hips twice, all right, and throw over that throwing shoulder. So this is another way that we develop them within our system. And again, they can do these drills every day. Walk away. So now we're incorporating that same drill. We're just walking away. And me as a coach, I'm just telling them to walk away, and then I'll give them a ball call. So he's going to walk away here. Ball. Turn and throw. Same deal here. Now it's hard way. Ball. And again, we're trying to get that pop with our feet. 3 distinct movements all grouped into one. Turn 2. So we do this drill a lot, you know, whether he's, you know, this is more for like a pre-snap RPO. We run a lot of pre-snap RPO. So we're trying to just generate movement towards a target. This is, for instance, if a back was over here, you know, and that running back, you know, he doesn't have to worry about clearing the running back. He can just catch and throw right now. But you know, this stuff seems simple, you know, especially like I've told people, like if you want to incorporate RPOs, you got to drill it. And if you're not drilling it and you're Andy drills your quarterback's never going to be any good at it. People think that he can just catch and throw this quick screen out here. Well, if he's never done the footwork before or done the drill work before, it's going to be tough for him. So we got to drill it. All right. So this is like a shortstop turn and 2. He's just going to catch, throw the football. And now here's an example of if he's got the back on the same side over here, now he's got to clear the back. Okay, so this is another example of a pre-snap RPO, but he knows he's going to throw it right away. There doesn't need to be a read, ride, fake, clear, ball. All right, you can place that guy down there anywhere you want. All right, here's the other way where he's going to turn toe or he's going to turn his hard way. So now he's really got to flip his hips and throw. Catch, ball, pop. Same deal here. So these are drills that we use to develop our guys week in and week out. This is just our other guy doing it. I'll fly through this. And here's a game clip of it. So the drill we literally just worked, turn 2. Here it is showing up in the game. And again, your drills need to mimic what your game's going to look like. We run a lot of pre-snap stuff. So here's a pre-snap RPO where he's just catching and throwing based off of numbers. And he's worked this drill all week. And we've developed this drill for him. All right, here's another example. Catch and throw. If he's never worked that right there, if he's never worked it in an individual setting, who's to say he's going to be any good at it? It's easy for you to just say as a coach, yeah, he can catch and throw. That's easy. Well, you got to drill this stuff. And that all falls into developing that high school quarterback. But again, if you're not an RPO team, you're during this indie time, you're drilling whatever you may do. If you're a pro style team, you're drilling, you know, under center drop back stuff. If you're a triple team, you're drilling, you know, carrying out triple fakes or read tendencies, whatever it may be. You know, so here's an example of, you know, it's a pre-snap, technically it's a post-snap RPO, but the pre-snap read is really clear. So our quarterback's he's not going to worry about reading and riding anything. He's just going to catch, clear the back, and then turn 2, throw the football. Working it without the laces, or, you know, a lot of these clips you've seen, he's throwing it without the laces. So, you know, a lot of things that we do, I develop guys throwing the ball without the laces, especially in the RPO game. I think that's important. I think in the drop back game, you really want them to find the laces, obviously, but in the RPO game, things happen quick, whether it's pre or post snap. So you've got to develop that. Take 2 reps throwing it with the laces, take 2 reps throwing it without. Here's the ride pops. This is all your post snap RPO stuff in our world. Again, you know, you're just developing your drills to fit what you do. And this is how you develop your high school quarterback. So, you know, here's the same side. And again, this is the same footwork he's going to use for when we go 10 and 11, which is our tight zone. He's going to, you know, if it's 11 where the back's over here and it's tight zone and then it could bang, bend, bounce, he's going to use the same 90-degree footwork. Okay. Same thing with his RPO stuff. If nothing's changing, it's all carrying over. That's why we don't have a bunch of drills. Because I can get all of his work that he needs, you know, in a mesh drill and an RPO drill as well. All right, so that's more of a post-snap read ride. Here's a longer post-snap read ride. All right, and then we'll talk about a 45-degree angle. Okay, here's our other guy going. Let me get to it here. All right, now, okay, this is the same type deal. If we're running 10, which is going to hit over here, backs to his left now, he's going to be on a 45-degree you know, type of deal. with his footwork here. So now this is an opposite side read RPO, not the same side read because it's opposite. It's opposite of his throwing shoulder. So now he can't really get to 90 degrees with his feet. He's really only got to go 45 just for the sole fact of you want him to be able to pop his feet and get back to a good throwing position. That's a good clip there. Here's some game clips of that showing up again. All right, same side read ride here. Ride, pop, ball. It's the same footwork he's using for his mesh drills with the running back, so nothing's changing. So, you know, when you're talking about developing your guy within your system and what he does well, this is stuff that's all worked. You know, he's familiar with all this footwork when you're talking about developing that high school quarterback. You know, and this is all the physical aspect. Here's a good look at a read ride from the opposite side, flip his hips, pop, throw the football. And this is a whole clinic in itself, you know, talking about the footwork and the drill work in terms of a, you know, quarterback for the RPO game. I just wanted to give you guys a glimpse of what we do. You know, so drop back philosophy, we're a rhythm team. So I don't have a bunch of rhythm stuff too, you know, or excuse me, a bunch of drop back drills either. Rhythm one and slow one, this is all your quick game stuff, okay? So the rhythm one is catch, set, throw. You know you're getting the ball out quick. Everybody and their brother runs quick game, so this is footwork that you can use. Slow one is for more of that quick game, like if you're running double slants and you're gonna hit that second window slant, now he's gotta take more of a slow reaction step in his drop back and then flip his hips, throw the football. Rhythm three, this is for your, and we're in the gun 100% of the time. So this is why we don't have like a 5-step drop, 7-step drop, things of that nature, because we're already in the gun. So I don't use that terminology. If you are under center, it's the same type of stuff. You can just, you know, use now your, you know, a rhythm three under center really is like a 5-step drop in my opinion. A rhythm three reset is like a 7-step drop under center, if that makes sense. Okay, so he's going to catch three, throw, rhythm three reset. He's just going to reset 6 inches back up into the pocket, throw the football. And then we do a lot of off-scheduled throw stuff, and we do a lot of open hip, open shoulder, which means, you know, if you've got that right-handed quarterback that's throwing to the left, you know, he's got to open that front side hip, open that front side shoulder in his drop before he throws it that way. And we work that stuff as well. So here's a rhythm one, slow one. Here's the rhythm one. It's just catch, set, throw. Okay, so this is another drill that we work to develop our guy. This is for all your quick game. Catch, set, throw. Okay, it's just a 1-step drop. And now here's a slow one. He's going to take a slow step back with that trigger foot. Okay, that opposite side foot first. So he's going to take that drop, slow, ball. That's for that double slant, maybe that quick out. That's a little bit longer developing than like a hitch that he can utilize this footwork in the quick game. All right, so you're just giving him tools throughout the quick game for him to utilize. Here's some drill tape of it, or excuse me, some game tape of it. And this is going to be a slow one because he's going to hit the double slant here from our X receiver down at the bottom of the screen. So he's going to take his time slow and then deliver the football. It's just a slower delivery than what like a quick hitch would be. So he's got to have both drills, or he's got to have both drops in his arsenal to be able to utilize in the quick game. Really develop this stuff in 7-on-7. Here's an example of a bad drill tape. Okay, see how he's drifting? He's drifting here at the end in the back. All right, we don't want that. We want them to be crisp and fluid. So he should be, if he's going to deliver this football now, catch, set, ball, get it out. Okay, before the receiver even gets to his break. Notice how the receiver's kind of got to sit on it for a minute. This is because he's drifting in his drop. All right, so when you're developing your quarterback, you know, within his drill work, here's a great example of a catch, set, throw. Okay, and 7-on-7, whether you're a wing T team, whether you're, you know, triple T, whatever it may be, you know, really you should hone in as a quarterback coach. You know, don't worry about where he's going with the football in terms of, you know, and just being a 7-on-7 warrior and trying to win every game, whatever else. Really focus on your quarterback's footwork during 7-on-7 because there's no live rush. So he should be as crisp as he's going to ever be with his footwork in terms of a 7-on-7. Here's a rhythm three reset, 1, 2, 3, ball. That's for a lot of our drop back stuff, a lot of our you know, a lot of our concept stuff. You know, when he has to go through a progression 1, 2, 3. If he's getting to that first progression, that second progression, he's usually rhythm 3. If he's going to the third progression, then he's going to reset. Here's an example of a reset. He's in a 1, 2, 3 reset. Some people call it a hitch. I call it a reset just because I think when you call it a hitch, it has a tendency to drop his back shoulder, and I don't want that. I just want them to reset 6 inches back up in the pocket, and he can utilize a reset whenever he wants. So I give him that freedom. So if he's got to reset 2 times to deliver the football, great. If he's only got to reset once, that's fine. If he's going to deliver the football on his, his rhythm 3 on that 3rd drop, great. Here's some game tape of him going through it, reset ball. And this is all just developing that high school quarterback. We end up getting a PI call there, so that's great. Here's a better clip, 1, 2, 3, reset, and then he delivers a strike. Here's another example. Now he's throwing the ball on that 3rd step, reset, ball, delivers a strike, and this is our drill work that is now showing up in the game. Okay, I think you have to work it backwards when you're talking about developing your ND drill work. Watch your game tape first. What does your quarterback do within the game? And then develop your ND work, from your game tape, if that makes sense. I think so often people develop their ND work first, and then it doesn't maybe translate to what's going on in the game. And that's where you get caught with your, your tail between your legs. You got to be able to watch your game film first and then go back and develop your ND drills, because then that's what's going to show up in the game. Then it all correlates. Pocket awareness. So we do a lot of this stuff too. I love working the pocket, and I work the pocket with people. I don't work the pocket with bean bags or tennis balls or, throwing dummies at him. I work it with people, because that's what he's going to see in a game. He's going to see a live rush. He's going to see somebody with their hands up coming at him. He's got to be able to feel that and then deliver a football. So when you're talking about developing him in a pass game, this is all stuff that you can do as well. Okay, here's a front door escape. Get out, throw the ball on the run. All stuff that we work. Backdoor escape. So he can feel all these things. All right, here's a great drill that we utilize. I don't have any drill tape for ourselves, but we utilize from Kent State. If you're going to work bags in the proper way. Don't just have your guys shuffle through the bags, just for the hell of it. Give him a ball call within the bag, because that's going to simulate him being in the pocket and having his feet in a weird spot, and then he's going to flip his hips and get his feet to the right spot. So as a QB coach, signal the play. If you're a signal team, signal the play. Let him go through a progression in whatever pass play you're running, and then he can work himself through the bags. So coach is signaling him a play there. Now he's going to take his drop, goes through his progression, 1, 2, 3. Now he's getting in the bags. Okay, he's working up and down, ball. Okay, that simulates everything to what happens in the pocket, not just working through the bags, and then all of a sudden there's no ball call at the end. What does that accomplish? It doesn't accomplish anything. At least now, he doesn't know when the ball call is going to happen, and that simulates being in a game where he doesn't know exactly when that receiver might get open, and then he gets open. Now he's in a bad spot. He's got to flip his hips, get to a good spot to throw the football, get back to that platform throw. Here's an example of a bag. This would be, this is why bags could be utilized, because you're working the pocket, getting out, ball, things like that. It all goes back in developing that high school quarterback. Here's another example where a bag drill would show up, because he's shuffling through the pocket, and then he's flipping his hips back to a good spot to throw the football. I'll show you guys the back angle. This ended up being a killer play for us. The 3rd play of the game in the state semifinals, and we ended up dropping the football against the team that ended up winning the whole thing in D2. 1, 2, 3. He's getting back up in the pocket, and then he resets his feet to throw the ball. All right, so that's all stuff that shows up in the drill work. Here's open tip, open shoulder. So this is for that quarterback that's a right-handed thrower that's throwing to the left side, and he's taking that drop. You utilize a line here because you want him to hold the line, stay on the line, but he wants to have this front side hip and this front side shoulder open. If he is closed here and closed here, okay, and he's too close with that front knee, then when he goes to throw here to this side, he's got to overcompensate. And a lot of times what happens, your hips end up getting in a bad spot. At least in his drop, if he's got an open hip and an open shoulder to begin with, now he just has to flip that front leg, and he's in a good spot to throw the football. So you're just working that drill to start all the way back, and then you can give your guy a ball call, and he can deliver a ball. So that's how we utilize this drill, just so they can feel that within their drop. All right. So that's developing. That's what we do to develop our guy, in terms of a physical standpoint. So a good question that coach asked me to, kind of gloss over a little bit, when talking about what we've done during the lockdown. This is stuff that I've done with the Qs every day. So shoot them a text every day, whether it's on huddle, whether it's on the phone, shoot them a text, shoot them a call, just to stay engaged. As a quarterback coach, man, you can't let those guys go a bunch of days without hearing from you. You've got a different relationship than maybe other position coaches might have. So this is what I've done. I've just shot them a text message every day just to ask them how school's going, ask them how things in their life are going, not even to talk about football. And then, we've done 1 to 2 Zoom meetings a week as well. We're starting to do some install stuff. So we've done some things like that. I asked them to write down 3 goals, 3 team goals, and then 3 individual goals. Because I think it's important so that they know what their goals are. And it's written down so they know if they're achieving them or not, or if they're working towards them. Self-review, I asked them to do a self-review as well. So they went back and they watched, their games from last year, their play. And I asked them to write down 3 things they did well and 3 things they didn't do well, throughout their whole season. And that way they can kind of self-reflect and they understand where they should be working towards the following year. And then drill tape, we've gone over in our Zoom meetings, the drill tape that you guys just saw. That way they have a good understanding of when they're throwing in the backyard with a brother, sister, mom, dad, uncle, whoever it may be, buddy. They can go over these drills. They can work these drills during that time. And then, when you talk about just developing relationships, I think that, as a quarterback coach, you hold a special place. And, it all goes back to when I try to develop relationships with my guys, it all goes back to this quote, fearlessly be yourself. I think that kids nowadays are so smart that they can see through all the garbage. And if you're one of those guys that's not acting like himself, or you're trying to act like somebody else, or you're fake, the kids are going to see that. The players are going to see that. So I've always just tried to be myself. When you're talking about developing a relationship with quarterbacks and with players in general, I think the more authentic you are and the more you let them see the real you, the better off you'll be. You've got to be an authority figure. Yeah, you've got to be, a guy that, has to buckle down when they have to buckle down. But I think that, when you're real with them, then you're going to get a lot more out of them, in my opinion. And I think that, when you're talking about developing that quarterback or, any type of player, if you're a guy that hoots and hollers and screams all the time, that's fine. But just do that all the time. Don't decide to do it one day. If you're a guy that's more reserved when you coach, that's fine too. Don't all of a sudden just hoot and holler just because you want to. So those things are important. And it just all goes back to that saying of fearlessly be yourself. Be yourself throughout the whole process. And, that's really, in my opinion, how you develop. I think the more that you show them that you care about things other than football for them, the more trust that you'll gain with your guys. And I think that also, that'll allow you to coach them harder. If you like with our starting quarterback, if you call him out in front of everybody else, that's going to show, the rest of the team, like, hey, coach doesn't play favorites. Coach doesn't, he's going to coach him as hard as he's going to coach me. And I think as a quarterback coach, you need to coach that guy really hard. Don't let him skate. Be honest with him. And that's, that's something that I try to do every day. So, and I've learned from a lot of great guys, learned from Sean Lewis at Kent State. He's the head coach at Kent State now, but he was at Bowling Green when I was there as a QB coach, worked with Matt Johnson. And he was always just himself, man, very fiery, very energetic. Great relationship with his guys, had a good relationship in terms of, you could laugh and joke and talk about things, but then when it was time to buckle down and go to work, it was time to go to work. And that's kind of the style that I've kind of adopted. And just, throughout my career, I've had a lot of great mentors and a lot of people that I've learned from. And I've never tried to just, I've taken things from everybody, but I've never tried to just act like one person, because I'm me, so I'm not going to try to act like anybody that I'm not. So, that's what it all boils down to, man. When you're talking about building relationships, just fearlessly be yourself. And that's what I try to live by. If you guys like to contact me, there's my information. Like I said, I appreciate Kyle having me on. Appreciate Michigan High School Coaches Association for having me on. There's my Twitter handle, my email. You guys can shoot me a text message if you like. We can talk more in depth about all the drills and whatnot. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of all this stuff. But, like I said, man, when you're talking about developing a high school quarterback, I think developing him mentally and physically, obviously, is the way to go. And you have to fit. You have to, your spiel's got to fit what you do as a program, as an offense. It can't just be, hey, I saw this drill and I'm going to work it. No, that drill's got to be able to fit within what you do before you just decide to pick and choose what drill you want to do. So, that's just a little bit about my spiel there. Hopefully you guys got something out of it today. And like I said, I appreciate Kyle having me on. Shoot me a message through any of these platforms here, and hopefully I can get back to you guys. And hopefully you guys are staying safe, staying healthy with your families. Appreciate it.